to interview you guys. We have a project. It's about the environment, the effects industries have on the environment. And we have some questions. There are 5 questions that we must do. The project is about the effects that industries have on the environment, but there are some industries, like ours, that help the environment, even though they produce some pollution because the industry cause pollution. But some industries help the environment by, for example, planting seeds, cleaning coast. They have some activities that help the environment. And we have 5 questions that they are: what do you think about the industrial pollution? What effects do industries have on the environment? What can we do to help the damaged environment? What activities do you do to help the environment? And we want to describe one of your activities.
Right. And what do you think if we start to board it one per one, right? The first question was what I think about the industrial pollution. Well, industrial pollution is one of the main problems of our world right now, because industrial activities has a major size of pollution than everything else. For example, in our houses, when we cause pollution all the time, but it's in a small size. But industrial activities have a lot big, have a bigger size that could damage equal in a bigger size of work. So that's why we have to take into account that industrial pollution must be managed.
What effects do industries have on the environment?
Well, one of the main effects are as we see in the video, one of the main effects are the environmental impacts. You remember when in the video they talk about environmental impacts. Those are the changes caused by the interaction of the industry with the environment. So when you don't manage those environmental impacts, the damages are caused. So one of the main aspects that industries have with the environment is environmental impacts.
What can we do to help the damaged environment?
Well, when we talk about environmental impacts, you manage it when you start an environmental assessment. So one of the main stuffs or the main topics we could do to manage those damages is by doing an environmental assessment. That environmental assessment will show you which are the impacts you're doing to the environment and give you the lineups to manage those impacts. You could, as we see in the video, we could take 4 courses to manage those impacts. The main one, or the most important, is the prevention. Like when you could do a damage in the environment, the first step you must do is prevent it to occur. Like don't let that damage occur. So that's when we talk about prevention. The second step you could take is correction, because you already made the damage. So when you do the correction, is how can I change or improve that condition that get a damage to the environment. For example, here in the cement industry, one of our main impacts is the dust, because cement is dust. We are producing dust, but the dust must be inside the bag, not in the environment. So that's one of our main challenges, to keep the dust inside the bags and not pollute the environment. So we have in our process a lot of machines, which its function is to control the dust to get out to the environment. The next step is mitigation. Mitigation is reduce the size of the damage. Before we talk here, I could show you far away. I could show you where the bad filters here in our industry, or what they do. And for another example is water treatment plants. Is a construction that let the water we use. As you see in the video, when we use the water, we pollute it because when we wash our bodies, for example, we take a shower, we are polluting the water we're using. So an alternative is to use a water treatment plant to try to retake or recover that water before we leave it to the environment. That's another example. And the fourth step, the final step, the step that we preferably must not use. The one that we prefer must not use.
The one that you don't use very often.
Or we must not use very often because it's not exactly good, but it's the best we can do when we do that kind. Is the compensation. That compensation means when you do the damage, but you cannot solve it here, so you compensate or repay it in another place. For example, with the trees. Here we got a mining industry too, that we extract some minerals from the surface to use it as raw materials to our process. But when you extract those minerals, for example, you have trees there, and you cannot take a tree out and plant in another place because when you take the tree out, the tree dies. So what we could do instead of because we could not take the tree out, we take another area and fill it with trees in compensation of the trees that are taken out from this place. I don't know if you understand. And that's what we call reforestation. Right. We are unpopulating trees from here, but we are populating trees over here. That's what we call compensation. Those are the four steps we could take to manage our environment.
But what activities do you do to help the environment?
Well, our activities are focused in our environmental policy. We have here in Argos we got an environmental policy that remarks our compromise or our challenge to prevent the damage to the earth. That environmental policies is described here in 5 pillars. Let me show you. The main pillar or the main part of this policy is around the culture of our employees and culture of all the people that works here in Argos. We try to make everyone here think different. Be conscious about the environment, be conscious about the possible damages you could do. So everyone, if everyone change their behavior, they could start to protect the environment. So here in Argos, we try to insert that sheep, like a sheep of environmental thinking in all our employees. So that's what we talk about when we mean environmental culture here in Argos. The second step is eco-efficiency. Eco-efficiency means that we could produce our cement with the less impact possible. Try to prevent all the impacts around the production of cement. For example, when we need to use water here, not for doing cement, but all the people that work here need water. And we pollute it when we wash our hands, when we use it. So we have, our first step is trying to measure the water we use so we could use less of this water. Try to control the quantity of water we use here. Second, we got treatment plants here to prevent the water we use, the water we pollute to pollute another water sources. So we have treatment plants here. Also with the emissions, for example, you know that the vehicles that goes around here, all those vehicles take pollution to the air. So we make an effort to maintain those vehicles to prevent that the pollution that is taken up is too much, right? That's what I mean with eco-efficiency. Also the dust that could get out of our plant, we take steps to prevent that dust to go out, right? The next step is climate change. Have you heard about climate change? What is climate change? What do you think it is?
Climatic changes can be when the earth rotates, that, for example, the changes of the seasons, for the temperature goes down or goes up, so it can be colder, it can be hot from one instant to another.
All right, that's a good example, but when we mean climate change, we're talking about, for example, the temperature that is rising from year to year. I don't know if you heard that scientists have proved that like in the last century, the temperature is going up. So I think 2015 was the hottest year recorded in our history. So the temperature is rising. When we talk about climate change as an activity we could manage to prevent our impacts to the environment, is because we are taking steps to prevent that climate change continues its rise, right? And it goes specifically in our CO2 emissions. You know what is CO2? Carbon dioxide. That is the main gas that goes out, for example, in a car. When we take the smoke, when a car takes out smoke, that is mainly carbon dioxide. Here in our industry, we also have some emissions of carbon dioxide. So we take steps specifically to control and reduce that emission. So we could apport something to the general weather of our planet. That's what we do here in climate change. Biodiversity. You know what is biodiversity? No? That's the life diversity in our planet. Everywhere in our planet there's a lot of life, but that life, plants, animals, all that life means biodiversity if they are diverse. There's a lot of animals, a lot of plants, a lot of different animals, a lot of different insects. But when you when you start an industrial activity, all the damage you could do could affect the animals, the plants, the trees, the insects. So when we take steps ahead to confront that biodiversity, means that we are taking steps to protect those animals, those trees, all the animals that lives inside our area where we could make an intervention. I don't know if you understand. Do you prefer me to tell you in Spanish? Because I'm not sure if you get the meaning.
Can you describe one of your activities?
More? Okay, well, for example, this is an schematic drawing of a plant. Our process here. I don't know if you understand too well, but our process means to take some raw materials here with this and we take those materials like limestone. You know what is limestone?
Yeah.
Caliza, piedra caliza. Gypsum, clinker, that is our main raw material. We take those materials and charge it to a conveyor, dosify it, like put it in a specific, like a recipe. When you're doing a cake, we must use some quantity of eggs, some harina, todo eso cuando haces un pastel. Así mismo funciona el cemento. Tú tienes que hacerlo en una proporción específica para que te salga el cemento bien. Y luego, and then you mill it, lo mueles. Entonces, porque el cemento es un polvo. Entonces, cuando lo mueles, se produce polvo que puede afectar la naturaleza. Luego de ese proceso de molienda, lo almacenas y luego lo empacas en los sacos que ustedes ya conocen. Eso es básicamente el proceso de producción de cemento. Entonces, por ejemplo, con respecto al aire, ¿cuál es el problema? Que estás haciendo polvo y cuando haces polvo se libera polvo al ambiente. Respirar polvo es sumamente dañino para la salud. El polvo le hace daño a la naturaleza finalmente porque empieza a cubrirla, no la deja respirar. Así como nosotros no podemos respirar polvo, los animales, las plantas no pueden respirar polvo. Entonces, alrededor de toda la planta tenemos unos mecanismos cuya función es prevenir que el polvo salga a la naturaleza. Que digamos son lo que ustedes ven acá en los círculos verdes. Acá a la entrada del proceso tenemos un filtro que evita que el polvo salga al ambiente. Cuando estamos haciendo la dosificación tenemos dos filtros. Cuando estamos transportando el material al molino tenemos otro filtro. En el molino tenemos otro filtro. En el transporte al almacenamiento otro filtro. Y cuando finalmente vamos a empacar tenemos 4 filtros más. Y ustedes, pero ¿por qué tantos filtros? Filtro acá, filtro allá. Porque justamente en todo el proceso se puede generar polvo. Y nuestra función principal es prevenir que ese polvo salga al ambiente y afecte. Pero inclusive, pese a esto, ustedes ven, no sé si vieron el video de seguridad, todo el tiempo tenía mascarilla, todo el tiempo tenía protección. Digamos, es una de las razones por las cuales tenemos que prevenir. Digamos, no podemos ir a hacer el recorrido en planta, porque a pesar de todo esto, puede ocurrir que se almacene algo de polvo y no podemos permitir que nuestros empleados, que las personas que permiten que el cemento se produzca, se salgan afectados. Entonces, también por política tenemos que protegerlos a ellos. Además de todos estos controles, también tenemos que proteger a nuestros empleados. Adicionalmente, reforestamos, hacemos actividades de reforestación, hacemos actividades de limpieza de playas, hacemos labores de capacitación con las escuelas alrededor para que ellos también sepan por qué se debe conservar el ambiente. Lo que les comentaba del agua, digamos, nosotros acá tenemos una serie de medidores que nos permiten saber exactamente cuánta agua consumimos. Así también se apoya equipos de béisbol, de softball, de baloncesto, pero eso digamos ya hace parte de lo que es el manejo con la comunidad. Lo que les decía del agua es que sabemos exactamente cuánta agua consumimos y en función de eso podemos reducir la cantidad de agua que consumimos. Entonces la idea es que usemos la mínima cantidad de agua para que también contaminemos la mínima cantidad de agua y tengamos también que tratar y corregir la mínima cantidad de agua que vamos a sacar. Entonces digamos un ejemplo de cómo funcionan las cosas acá.
Causes of existence of the factories in the environment. Today, to live is to grow. In today's world, economic growth is the only objective, having countries, societies, regions, individuals, and business. And so we see as human activities promote economic development. The economic system based on predominant continued growth. This in turn brings development, and that brings development industrialization because of the emergence of different industries or factories. Where do production lines products as to be able to sell a product must first make it. Development in turn brings progress and welfare for sources, generate jobs. Facts. Large industrialized areas in different parts of the country continually growing. In our country we have, for example, Herrera Industrial Zone, Jaina Industrial Zone, and Las Americas Industrial Zone.
Every cause brings its effects, whether good or bad. In this case, bad. Factories lead to the depletion of natural resources. They lead to air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution. Global warming, climatic changes are the major consequences of industrialization. They cause acid rain. They lead to the degradation of land quality. They lead to the generation of hazardous waste whose safe disposal become a big problem. These industries are responsible for the following adverse disease and ill effects like silicosis, skin disease, and deafness.
With the emergence of different factories in the industrial sector, many natural resources are exploited and generate high levels of negative environmental contamination. The problems of the factories are the following: destroy mountains to extract minerals, they cut down forests to get wood, they distinguish animal species, they fill the air with toxic gases. But in this case, I just want specifically the problems caused by cement factories. So the problems caused by cement factories are the following. The cement produces 5% of global emission of carbon dioxide, the main cause of global warming. The cement factories cause a very large noise impact caused by explosion. The furnaces need a lot of energy to achieve higher temperature, 2000, ejecting powders, gases such as sulfur dioxide, nitrogen, and oxygen, especially dust that can cause silicosis to the employees.
Solution of the factories in the environment. We are in planetary because we use the deficit 50% more than planet Earth can give us. Resources move tremendously. Standards must establish conservation and wise use of air. Action we included the environment a favor how to promote bills. Afforestation and reforestation, and that trees help the environment. They have H2O gases absorb odors and pollution. In a year, from natural plants can provide enough oxygen for 18 characters. Coastal cleanup. We must reduce, reuse, recycle. Lower consumption will result in less air pollution of all kinds. We must prevent and raise awareness of powerful consuming products that do not generate waste or generate fuel. Regarding one cement factory, regardless cement is a basic component in emerging fundamental element for the construction of buildings and roads. Why 80% of the cement that is made is used in developing countries. Cement companies should aware of the direct impacts have on the landscape and ecosystem, and know perfectly well that should improve their processes to reduce pollution, become more efficient, and therefore more competitive. So they develop environmental policies and may have already obtained environmental certificates demonstrating the will to reduce their impact on the environment. First, you take the seed and put it in the cotton. Then you put the cotton inside the cup. And then you pour a liter of water.